What's going on, everybody? This is Jay Wicker with Small Business Stand Up, and as you can see, I have a phenomenal co-host here, Miss Danielle MacArthur. How you doing today, Miss Danielle?
Good. What up, Jay? You was looking over your shoulder. You making me nervous. You okay?
I'm from the hood. I got to make sure everything is good around
Well, I was straight.
here. Man, absolutely, absolutely, Miss. So listen, man. This is we've been missing a couple of weeks here, guys. So everybody who's going to tune in today, or who's tuning in now, who's going to tune in later on. Yeah, we had a little couple weeks hiatus, man. I was just tired, man. Just simply put, man, just tired. Got a lot going on. So, but we back rolling again. Got my co-host here. She's ready to rock and roll too, man. So how's everything going with you?
Going well. Got some working on some master plans.
Yeah,
I've heard a couple of like motivational speakers and positive people that say, you can't tell everybody what you're doing, what you're working
facts,
on. But
facts.
I'm operating on I can show you better than I can tell you. So that's what I'm gonna do. But I got some big things in the works I'm excited about. So
Man, that's
yeah,
huge. That's
yeah,
huge. The key to this thing, man, is just to keep going, right?
yes,
So you got a direction. As long as you put one foot in front of the other, you'll get to your destination eventually, right?
yep.
So that's how you do it, man. You just keep going, man. I too have some different things going on, but I needed a break. I really needed a break. I don't think I ever needed a break like that. And
Really?
that was it was nah.
Man, you
I've
gonna
been
take
running hard for many, many, many years. You know what I'm saying? Forever since I know, I played even when I was in school. I played sports and stuff like that. So we go to school. I wake up early. We go to school, play sports. See, maybe have a game or something. Come home. We on the PlayStation. Well, back then it was Atari or whatever the case. To go to sleep, do it again. You know what I'm saying? So, and I actually kind of just shut it down, man. I needed it. I
I
feel a
think
lot better. I feel a
Look,
lot better.
but
So,
I think that's a good point for our listeners because
yeah,
you'll get burnt out,
yeah,
and if you don't take care of yourself, you'll be so focused and so driven, but you'll drive yourself into the ground, or like you said, you'll start making mistakes. You start getting foggy. You start making
yeah,
the
man.
wrong, having bad conversations. Or
Yeah,
coming across crazy to people.
absolutely.
So take
That's
care
so
of
true.
yourself.
That's so true. And it's a business is definitely important, man, but your health is more important. So
Yes.
you definitely got to take care of that. So and that's one podcast we're gonna have as well to kind of break down some other things that we need to be doing. Even though we're hustlers and we're trying to get it, there's some other things that we should be doing.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, on top of that, one of the number one thing I would say is your health.
Yes.
So make sure you get your 30 minute or 45 minute walk in or whatever. Be active throughout. That's important. Definitely
Yep.
important. So hey, so we're gonna get going, man. We're gonna get this thing started, man. So again, really appreciate everybody for logging in. Please like, share, and subscribe, guys, as you come in. Let's get this algorithm going here. Right? So hit the like, if you like it, cool. Hit the like. If you don't like it, hit the dislike. But just do something. You know what I'm saying? Just do something. I'm cool with that, man. So in all comments, you definitely can comment. You guys, matter of fact, we got room. If you want to come up, we'll shoot you the link right now. So you can be active. You can be part of the show if you want to tonight. So, all right. So listen, we're gonna jump right into this thing here.
What we
So one
got?
of the things I was thinking about the other day. So here's a question, right? When should you hire someone for your business? Now I know we touched on that a little while ago,
Yeah.
right? So I was thinking about this the other day. So um, sometimes what we normally do, right, when you're looking to hire somebody, is that you're looking for a body to fill a position, just a body, right? One body. But that can put you in a world of trouble. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It can put you
I
in a world.
got I got a
Yeah,
I got a client right now who is
yeah.
living that nightmare.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
yeah, so I could definitely talk about that because when it comes to the win, it's obviously when you realize you don't have enough hours in the day, or you hit a point of growth and things start taking off a lot faster. Because usually, it might start with just simple a VA, virtual assistant. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just somebody that could do some of the smaller tasks. But yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get to it later, and I can save it for later. But yeah, don't go warm body. Don't go.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it
Yeah.
because you'll end up wasting money, wasting time, wasting energy, getting frustrated at them, getting frustrated at you. But I think a key reminder would be identify your intention for hiring somebody, like, and evaluate it, because I'm very technical, so when I work with people I'm like, write out everything that you do, and write out what you want this person to take over, and does it justify a part-time position, does it justify a full-time position, is it something where you want to transition them from part-time to full-time or something like that. But I take things from a very analytical standpoint, and if you're trying to figure out if you need to hire somebody, write out everything that you need done. You
Yeah.
know, figure out, okay, how much time do all of these things take? And it sounds boring, but that's the kind of thing, that exercise that you need to do to really get an understanding. Do I really need to hire somebody? Am I still at a point where maybe I need to just maximize my time a little bit longer? Because I mean, we're all going to get to a point where you're adding people to help.
Absolutely.
But the point is for you to grow, and the only way you can grow is by being supported. But definitely keeping track of what needs to be done. What is your intention for hiring this person? Do you want them to do everything that you're doing, or do you want them to support you? Because that's a big difference, you know. And are you gonna train them? There's so much. Like I don't know what all your other questions are, but there's so much
No,
to go
you think
through.
you listen. It can cost you a lot of money to continue to hire people and fire people. You know what I'm saying? It burns a lot of your energy too, man.
Oh, so
You know
much.
what I'm saying? It burns a lot of energy, man. So my motto, man, is to be quick about firing and slow about hiring. That's my motto. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? I want to really make sure I put the right person in the seat. Now, the thing about it, right, is that when you're an entrepreneur and you just start on the business, right, you have a lot of hats, and a lot of us, man, have a problem with delegating or
Yes.
giving somebody this responsibility now. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? To let's say they're gonna handle it or whatever the case is. But like you just said, make sure that you have it in writing what that person should be doing.
Yes.
Whether it should be full time or part time. That's really, very important. I hired somebody one time, full time position. It really didn't. I had to figure out every day what I wanted them to do. So
Right.
I did it all backwards. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, they sitting there, they ain't doing it. I'm like, man, okay, do this right here. Do this right here. So, and I'm just the opposite, right? If I'm working for somebody, just tell me what to do and leave me alone. Let me do
Yeah.
me. And so I find myself kind of hovering over them. I'm like, nah, that's not good, man. That's not good. So you're
Well,
absolutely right. You're
I
absolutely.
think
What's
you
up,
make
Miss Sheila?
hey,
How are
hey,
you today?
hey, everyone. I think you make a
All
good
right.
point. I've been in that position where I've hired people and they just sitting around, and I know stuff needs to be done, but because I wasn't as thorough as I probably could have been in the beginning,
Yeah.
it was, I think, one, it just was that kind of trial and error. So, going into business, I think would I do it differently? I feel like I'm a great woman as a consequence of my business, but would I recommend my journey to a mentor or mentee? No. I would definitely say you need to hire your team going in, and um, or get a coach that details that you can work with, that kind of details all the responsibilities
Yes.
that come with the job. So even when you're doing them, if you choose to do 20% of that, you still understand the fullness of that responsibility. So when you bring a person in, you have mentally went through that process of, okay, I knew I wasn't able to do 100% of this position, because I think that's why they're sitting there, because they're only replacing the 20% of that responsibility that you
Yes.
could have done because you wearing so many hats. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
you can only delegate the space that you know. But then so I had got a strategic planner that came in and basically, like, these are the positions that you need. You need a business development. You need a assistant, this is their role. You need your marketer, this is their role. And I think it was only like 4 positions. It wasn't like a big thing, but each position detailed like what this business development coordinator would be doing.
Yes.
What your personal assistant would be doing, or receptionist, whatever, that role was. And then I think it was like an operations person that just kind of handled that stuff. And, I got that done maybe 5 years ago, maybe even more than that, when I first, probably my second, third year of business. But just knowing that, it gave me insight of, okay, when I bring a person in, these are their responsibilities. And I'm not trying to figure out, what your title was or what you really do. And if it's a situation where you're playing, like my last personal assistant played the role of the receptionist and the personal assistant. So she took on a couple of roles, but I knew that,
Yeah.
she was taking on these roles and those responsibilities. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have did it different because I think I learned a lot. But if I was saying when to hire, I think if you ain't hiring up front, you need to know what you're hiring for.
Yes.
So the follow-up question to that is should you hire when you need it, or should you hire before you need that position filled?
I think that
Like, because here's the deal. Like, a lot of times when we get ready to hire somebody, we're over. It says a lot of stress on our head, and we need help.
Emotional
Right?
response.
Yeah. So should we say, okay, yeah, this is what let me go and hire this person, and and do it that way, or should we just wait till we just absolutely need it? We over our head on some stuff.
Yeah. So I just said I just said, oh, that's based on capital. But then some came up in my spirit was like, no, that person is gonna make you more capital. So I'm gonna take
that part. Yeah. That part. Yes.
That's exactly what came up in my spirit. Like, as you offload these responsibilities, that can give you more time to do that. So I was thinking again, I go back to my first answer. I think that in the beginning and just team, I think my lift this year, truly has been in the times I've really lifted and did well in my business. It was truly when I had a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Era,
I agree.
if that team was an era, like my first team, I think we had the chief operations officer, I had a receptionist, I had the personal assistant, I had 4 coaches, and it was just amazing to me to get off that elevator. Had you ever been to the office?
Yeah, I seen it. You had the lady right there in the front. I met her before. Yeah. Yep, I remember that.
Right off the office, meet her, you know what I mean? Walk to my desk and get my little folder, and they'd be like, okay, Sheila, this is what we doing, or hey, this has been approved. Like that feeling, I feel like, and I'm gonna bring kind of God into this one. I feel like God gave me a glimpse.
Yeah.
Of okay, this is what should be happening. Now the underbelly of that was that I still had to develop, in that CEO role and understand what it meant to be a CEO,
Yes, that part.
on the business and not in the business. And so, I didn't fully understand that, but God definitely gave me a glimpse of, this is what business looks like. And then I had the bomb operations officer. I mean, she would just get stuff done just, so fast. And, we would be in board meetings, and it was definitely, it was awing, but it was nervous. Like, I'm like, man, like I'm actually quote unquote here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Within a year, it had dissolved. Like, the resources wasn't coming in because then it wasn't a financial plan in place at that point about like how many people we needed to come through this door.
Yeah.
Or even if I knew that, but there was limited effort in really executing like this, how many people we need to come in. Like I knew how many hours I needed to bill for that office space, and I had that logistically, but how we were going to make that happen in the community, and Jay, I mean, you saw the building, it was immaculate, it was beautiful, like 5,000 square feet office space, 5 offices, 4 cubicles, 2
right across the street from News 5.
Right,
yeah, I remember that.
You had like the little elevators open, top of the 5th floor. You know, you could see over. It was really nice. Great experience. And I feel like God has set me there too to kind of expand my capacity, because I was in office that had like a little small office on the side, and moved from like, 200 square feet to 5,000 square feet, and in that time, like, it was me growing to get comfortable with this type of flow and things like that. But I learned so much. But when should you hire? Yeah, I don't think you should hire out of need. I think you should hire out of functionality. Like, the functions that need to happen.
Yes.
So you're putting these people in place. Now is when you put them in place, hold them accountable.
Yes.
Very
That's what I got to speak to, because that's what I've learned extensively in my time in corporate. And that's what I try to get people that I work with to understand. You got to remember, they have whole departments that hire people. There are requirements in place before. You have to have a full job description. What is this person going to be doing? Because we talked about the firing thing. How can you fire somebody if you haven't trained them appropriately? You have to make sure they understand what the job is, what the expectation is. And there's so much pre-work that you have to do before you even put it out there that you need help. And I think if you don't have that in your mind, then yeah, you're going to rush, or you're going to hit a point where it's like, oh my God, I need somebody. And I ain't got to worry about the job description. Let me just put somebody in. But that's a pivotal part of the process, is identifying what is this person going to be doing to make up for whatever income they will be receiving. You want to pay, do you want $10 an hour worth of work? Do you want $15 an hour worth of work? There's levels with the pay grade and expectations. You can't pile on a $30 an hour job to somebody only paying $10 an hour.
Unless they want to, right?
Unless they want to. But they have to agree.
I was blessed with a couple of people that's like, I really am committed to the mission and I want to do this. And I think that's another population that we need to tap into as entrepreneurs, the elderly or the aged out population, because these individuals have a lot of retired population, disability. They can't work a lot, but they have a skill set. They're gonna be punctual. Like, we had a couple of women that were like 55, 60 years old. When I tell you, we opened at 8:00 and they was there at 7:45. In the office.
Happy to be there too. Happy to be there.
Happy to be there. Coffee made, had me with shirts made, and just really. So I think a lot of times we think about this younger population, but there's a population out there, people who looking to, just do something to give back. And we're not tapping into, that population of individuals who really got all the time on their hand, like they're in retirement. And they probably did this in their life. Now, some of them like, look, I'm on vacation, I don't need that responsibility. But some of them are really still very active in the community and things like that, and be willing to come and help. And I know that the one lady that I had, she was so thankful, to even be in the presence of the activities that we had going on. And, and me being a Black woman doing this in our community, and just, being attached to that, because she had been walked through, back in the 60s, where we was fighting for stuff. So for her to see that was their value in itself. Now, the other thing that came up for me was 1099, right? And so we want to be very particular when we're writing down our, those job descriptions. Because if it's a job description like an employee, right, then it has to be an employee, which a lot of us at this point, a lot of new beginning people, you might contracting people in based off of a skill set. So you want to,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
If it's more of an executive role, then you want to write that up like, this person is responsible for this project for this quarter, right? Because now they're coming in to manage that as a 1099 employee and not as an employee that you're paying their taxes and paying into the state. And so how you write those up may be important to make sure that it's legal. And I know a lot of businesses that, that's a 1099, but you can't be a 1099 because it doesn't even meet it's not a skill that she's providing. It's actually, you're telling her what to do, right? and just being mindful of that as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's very important too. That's very important too. Yeah, I had that issue too at one time, so I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes
Because
sense.
sometimes we'll be like, oh, I need somebody to answer the phones and do this, which is more task oriented, which is more of a position where you're paying half of the taxes. But if you say, I need a project managed where in this project, this person has to respond to da 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 da, and write it up. Then you can contract a person in for a period of time and say they're contracted at this base pay for a period of time to make sure we capture, 120 calls a month, or you know what I mean, whatever that is, and that's their responsibility.
Yeah.
But you see,
So would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say contact your CPA to kind of help you with that to make sure you're doing that right?
Yeah, I would say contact your CPA, and then also, some type of maybe like a HR person, if you know an HR person, to read over. At the time I was going to school, because I do have a certification in human resource management. Well, let me say I went to school for human resource management. I still need to get certified in it, but in that schooling, learning about the HR role, like, the how do we, as the HR, how would they look at this? What's the ethical thing to do? And so, individuals who offer those type of HR things, it's really to protect your business, because that's why HR is there.
Yes.
Yeah. Dope. All right, that's a lot of gems right there. There's a lot of gems right there. So, all right, so here's the next one. So, why is it important to have a continuous training for your employees? Why is that important, guys?
If you want continuous growth of your business, you have to invest in it. That is why training is a tax. All these things, education and resources are write-offs because it's a part of the growth of a business. And trust me, you triggering all kind of corporate memories and whatnot for me. When you don't train people, it's the first thing they will tell you when they do something wrong. Nobody told me.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody showed me.
It needs to be
Nobody
signed too.
explained it to me that way. It's the first thing. And even in those big companies, there's nothing you can do especially if you can't prove that you're training.
Yeah,
Because
you got to have a document signed, all that stuff, saying that you've been trained and everything.
And I know I'm thinking on a big level, but those are the things that you have to think of, even when you're doing a small level. Because that's what I'm working with somebody right now who he exactly in this situation. He brought 2 people on. Now, part of that is identifying your strengths. Because if you're not a trainer, you better hire somebody like me.
Yeah.
So you have to hire help, because if you're not good at people management, if you're not good at training, then this person is always going to be set up for failure. If you don't put them with the right resources, it's not going to work out. And that's what he did. He plugged these people in, gave them kind of like vague things, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And then he gets mad. But I was like, well, how did you train them?
Yeah.
What was the expectation? Was everybody on the same page? Was there communication going back and forth? Were you verifying their training? Were you verifying their understanding of the training? Because just because you train somebody doesn't mean everybody understands what you're saying. So it has to be some kind of reference to let you know the training was effective. That's a very big thing in big companies too. If you can't prove that the training was effective, then the training is, it doesn't exist.
You could potentially lose some great employees.
I'm gonna take a different look at this one, because so as a therapist, we have to get trainings like all the time, But when the company did that, I think I felt valuable, right? As the employee that was receiving that. So in agreement to everything Danielle said about, it's an investment in the company, and you want to make sure that the company has a standard or whatever. I think that this question is really this shows that you also value the individuals that's working for you. You know what I mean? And you're investing in them because they are receiving, if it's effective communication or, emotional intelligence or customer service, these are things that they can put on their resume. These are true investments into their overall growth and development. And when you do that to an individual, and the reason I talked about me is because my director, Francis Earn, who was over psychological services, it was very difficult for me to leave because I knew how much the company had invested in me. You know what I mean? And mind you, they had to, because there was these CEUs, right, that we had to meet as therapists. But just that communication of, I want you to take, and it was specific trainings too, like didactical behavior therapy, like things that other therapists wasn't, able to do. Like, she sent me there to get that training, and it really built our relationship, and it made it difficult for me to leave. Now, I went to Delta and I worked there, and I wanted to get training so I wouldn't lose my certified advanced addiction drug counselor training. And they didn't want me to take that training, so they didn't give me the hours off because they said that that certification had nothing to do with their student population. And I was just like, and I think that was one of the biggest bricks that I was like, so you're not invested in my personal growth and development, or this thing I have worked for so hard, I'm going to lose it because you won't give me the time off to go get the credentials to keep this. It's called a CAADC, which is huge to have, as a drug counselor. And I end up losing that credential because my employer didn't see the line of sight of that to their job. And that was a huge reason why I left, because I didn't feel that there was a personal investment into me. So when I see that, yes, you should train your employees because you want them to, do the things efficiently, but you also want your employees to feel valuable and that you value their growth so much so that you're going to provide them with these opportunities to speak better, to write better, to, do their job better. And we're talking about relationships where you don't want to leave, you know what I mean? And you struggling. These are the type of jobs that people struggle to leave from because there's other value that is added to that employee outside of their paycheck.
See,
very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. See, the thing about business, big business and small business, man, it's definitely important, man, to have that training, right? Because one thing about us that's certain is that we're going to pivot. In business, you got to be willing to pivot. And when you see something that's not working, you got to be quick about changing it, right? If you get to changing different things and you haven't trained them on the way that you want them to do it now, it can be very frustrating. Not even just for you, but also for the employee as well, right? You can be looking at them now. Look, you ain't doing a good job now, but this is how you trained me to do it when I came in the door, right? But you got to continue to train people on how to do certain jobs, man. To get the most out of whatever job that they're doing. So I think that's very important.
And if we learned that with the pandemic, because it was so many people who could not do that shift, even though the internet had been and Zoom had been in process for years, when it was mandated, when it became mandated, it was such a transition for people, right? And so I agree with you, Jay, that you definitely need to make sure that you're at least letting people know the newest trends that's coming up in the processes and the systems and things like that.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say, because not only is it all the previous points is things change, new technologies come out, new resources become available, new ways to do something you were doing before. Like I've listened to, everybody, how they talk about, new systems and new programs, new apps, new processes, new ways to connect people and bring people together. So that's also a piece of that as well. Like I talked to somebody who was, still advertising like it was 2003 and stuff. And it's like, why are you advertising like that? It doesn't make any sense. It's 2022. Like, you got to evolve with the time. So, and like you said, Jay, when it comes out, get everybody on the same page. And then to Sheila's point, it makes them feel valued. Like, oh, I'm learning something new too. I'm learning a new, useful skill that's up to date.
Yeah. But not only teaching the new employee or whatever, but also yourself.
Yes.
Yourself.
You got to continue to train yourself as well because you got to know what's coming. Like when this pandemic hit, if you was on your grind, right? If you see things coming over, hey, this is thing that's coming over. You can already have your employees in lined up, ready to go. So when this thing finally hit, you guys have been doing Zoom already for a couple of months now,
Yeah.
right? So you got to be proactive. You got to be proactive.
Go back to that. Training is coaching. Training is,
Yes.
certification classes. Training is all type. It can fall in so many different ways, especially as the entrepreneur themselves. And I just see so many entrepreneurs that are stuck in that aspect. Like, how are you growing and expanding in your field? Like, when is the last time you picked up a book or watched a
Yeah,
YouTube or
yeah.
about other people in that industry? And their response is a rational lie. Is it? I'm unique and I don't want to, be influenced by how everybody else doing things because, I want to stay unique in my lane. And it's like, yeah, but your container and your capacity, sometimes you are sparked by creativity and uniqueness by being introduced to a different way of doing things, which then can create a different way in you now to present, that same thing. And so we really have to, as a culture, break out this mindset of nobody can tell me nothing. You know what I mean? We really do.
Listen, as business owners, we're frontliners. We're on the front line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And these people behind us or on the side of us, they're dependent on us. Their families dependent on us, right? Like it's been times where I had to pay. I'm paying my employees before I got paid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I take it personal. It's our job to see things happening and make adjustments. That's what we're here for, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody to work for me and then come a Friday they can't pay them. That's not a good feeling. I've been there. Well, I tell you what. I tell you what.
It's
Say
not
it
a
again.
good feeling.
No, it's not.
It's not a good
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah. But I haven't. Okay, let me back up a little bit. So I never got to the point to where I couldn't pay them on Friday, but it was like Wednesday and I didn't have the money, right? So I quickly put some stuff together and sold some product so I could actually pay. But they never knew. You know what I'm saying? They never knew the payroll was in jeopardy. But even probably at our jobs right now, right? If we had a full-time job right now, they probably in the same situation. We'll never know. They may got credit cards or whatever the case is that they can, float or whatever a couple of months, but we'll never know. So, but we're frontliners, man. That's what we signed up for. Say it again.
I've been in a position on Friday, checks is due, and I'm walking in like I think that's the last time I got in that situation. That was the situation, and I ended up paying them, but I was just like, you know what, we can't do this. Like I need to learn something. Something is off because this shouldn't be this way,
Yeah.
And I just kind of went back to the drawing board on everything.
Yeah, man. I pride myself on that. It's crazy. Like when my back against the wall, I'm thinking about I could think of something to put together real quick to get some money.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I've been there.
Talk about that, Jay, because I do feel like one of the positions that you need to hire is that person, right? The person that can, one, ask for the money, two, is thinking about the money. That because I even think that sometimes, so for me, that was not my space in the beginning. Like I just wanted to do the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to literally say, and maybe some of our audience is like I ain't doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I want to make people feel good. Now, 180 that, right? I still say that, but it's from a different container. Like it, when I said that at first, it was because I kind of had this judgment around wanting to charge you, and this again about money stories, and we talked about this a couple of shows ago, but the thing I felt about asking you for your money.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me? Because y'all
It's freezing, but we can still hear you.
Yeah, we still can hear you though, yeah.
Yeah. It's like slow motion.
Hear the matrix a little bit.
Yeah.
Every time I'm about to say something powerful, the thing that's a
I know, right?
We can hear you though. We can definitely hear you.
Y'all can hear me though.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So, so I had this thing around asking people for money because I had always been in careers where, as a hairdresser, you knew you was paying this amount to get your hair done. As a therapist, you knew that your insurance was paying this amount. So now I'm in a position where I got to add value to the things that I do, and I got to actually ask you to pay that for me, and I think that was a big transition. And what I found out was, well, Sheila, maybe one, you do need to make money, right? And you need to set your limit on how much your value is. But if it's causing you some issues, then maybe you need to hire a person that can see that value and ain't and is not as challenged about saying, you know what? And I heard ET say this before. He had a girl on there. I mean, he had hired the person that closed the deals, and he was charging like 5,000 or maybe 10,000 or whatever. And so he went to her and he was like, my prices went up to $20,000, and she had an issue with asking for $20,000. And immediately he kicked her off that position. Like, oh no, this is not the position for you. I need the person that can say that I'm worth $20,000 and don't have a problem with asking for it.
Yeah. What would that position be called for people that are like me and want to because I'm trying to think of like a specific position name. Like, what would you call that kind of person? Because it's not a marketer. Because this is direct sales almost. Like, what would you call that?
That's a business development.
Business development.
Yeah, direct sales, business development. Y'all hear me through all of that? Because I swear I felt like I was speaking to a black screen and y'all.
No, we heard you. We
heard everything.
Did y'all hear everything I said?
Yep. But I mean, I can see how that could be. That
would be around sales. Development, individual.
Yeah, I can see how that could be a problem for some people, right? If you grew up in say in an environment where money was huge and it was a lack of it, right? You know what I'm saying? $100, can really make or break your week in some situations. Now to turn around and be asking for 50,000, 20,000, or whatever the case is. Say it again. I didn't hear you.
No, I was saying if we had the financial people on here, I'm sure they'd be like, you need to snap up out of that and ask for what you're worth.
Absolutely.
And I agree. I agree with that. But I also feel like I'm talking to the newer entrepreneurs, like, don't go broke because you scared to ask. Like, you need to be asking God to see you somebody that see your value so that they can go out and say, hey, you know what, you need to go holler at my homegirl Sheila, or you need to go holler at my homegirl Danielle, or that's speaking on your behalf, or that's making those cold calls on your behalf that can speak to your talent and your gift. And then here's how you do that. Then you give them a percentage of that. If it's 20% of now this is where we start talking about the dynamics of selling. Like, now they can get, for every client you bring me in, at this 2,000, 20,000, like, you get a commission, right? So
Absolutely.
You're commissioning them, right? And if they believe that, and now it's a win-win situation. But it is just some people out in the world that is just absolutely amazing at that. You know what I mean?
Look, girl, I've had that conversation with so many people, but it's what you said, Sheila. You have to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. You have to be very self-aware to understand and accepting of help to realize, you know what? I don't like doing this. I don't like doing this. I need help. Or, or maybe, or be able to see the strengths and weaknesses of others. Because that's how I am, Sheila, where it's like, I love linking up with people that have a greater skill set in certain categories than ones that I know I don't have. Because then it's like, oh, I got somebody for that. I got somebody that can help me with this. Like, that's a very powerful feeling. And it's exactly what she said, because people that are good at that thing, they love doing that. Like, I am not a fan of negotiating. I can't say
that's me. That's me right there.
It irks my soul. Like, why do we have to argue about, or why do we have to have a discussion? Like, I'm the one that goes to the thrift store, whatever the price is, I pay it. I'm not about to haggle it. This person that came out, I just want to help them. But my homie, man, I've known so many people where, man, they will talk water out of every, they're like, yeah, let me go look. Can I get a free Sprite with that? Just they just come
That's me. That's me. I tell
expecting
my
that.
wife, we go buy some furniture. I said, listen, you just go ahead, you tell me which one you like, and then go to the car. I got this, you know what I'm saying? Because she hate when I do it, like just go to the car, man. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna get it. Don't worry about it, but just go to the car. And then we end up saving $200 or $300, and I'll be like, look, we saved
Oh
two.
yeah, because I
Well,
ain't got
then she
no
wanted to
real
spend the
estate.
money though. Now she want to spend the $300 now, right? I'm like, no, you want to just give her the money.
And
But yeah, I do that all the time.
it's
Now,
funny because I think that's why, because I think I said it before, like me and real estate, like, no, and I think that's part of why I have a high respect for people in real estate, but that's why it's not my jam. Because I mean, real estate is nothing but negotiation.
that's it. And there's no emotions to it, neither.
Yeah,
Especially when you're dealing with commercial like apartment complexes, right? So we in the deal syndication, right? With apartment complexes, meaning that we may have 100, 200 people that's investing into this brand new apartment complex, right?
yeah,
Everybody putting 50,000, 60,000. I have no problem saying, look, this is what it is. This is what I need from you.
yeah.
Oh, can I give you 40? No, this is what it is. And it is what it is, right? Matter of fact, we should be often asking for 80. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't playing with it. But I have no problem negotiating. I actually, I like that, man. I really like this. That's all I do now. When it
And
comes to
that's
real estate, that's all I do. So a lot of the promotion and stuff like that, I kind of delegate that out to other people. I'm on the phone talking to people, negotiating the property and stuff like that. So it's
yeah,
pretty
no,
cool. It's pretty
nope.
cool.
Solving problems. That's me. I love solving a problem. You got a problem, put it in front of me. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna dice it. I'm gonna do all that because I
Yeah.
met people that can't stand solving problems, and then bringing
Still,
Did we use you? I think we lost Miss Danielle. So you cracked in though.
oh,
Miss
okay,
Danielle, you
yeah.
there?
I just was like, you know what? Let me do it off my phone because my computer is acting up.
I think we just lost Miss Danielle. She froze on. So here's the question. Okay, there
yeah,
she go. Okay, we
there
good now.
we
Go
go.
ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
because look, man, it done took me off my point that I was getting ready to make. What was
You
we
said
talking?
you don't like to negotiate the real estate. You
Well,
said you
no,
gotta.
and I was just saying about strengths and weaknesses, and going back to the key point. You need to know if you can manage people because
Yeah.
not every business owner can manage people, and it goes back to exactly what Sheila said. If you can't manage people, if you don't enjoy it, if you don't like it, you need to hire somebody to manage your people, manage your staff, because you're going to get to the point where it's like, I know I need a staff, but if you don't like talking to people, giving them feedback, coaching them, developing those things, and you just focused on, I just want to sell, I want to put my face out there, I want to do that. That's okay, but you're going to need somebody to do that job, because that's what I've played that role in my business, helping other people manage their people, because I have a lot of background in people management, and I don't have a problem with it. I enjoy it. I like talking to people. I like interacting with people and developing them and assessing them. That's my skill set. Not everybody has that skill set.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to keep in mind when you are going to be hiring people. Who's going to be managing them?
That's facts. That's facts.
But I think that what come up in my spirit about this is just humble. We talk about the word humility a lot, but I don't think we talk about it in this context of how important it is for us to be humble as entrepreneurs, right? Because a part of humility is just that, like admitting that this is not your area of expertise, and instead of allowing the kitchen to be burned with the whole house or whatever, however that saying go, I'm going to stop and I'm going to humble myself, and I'm going to go get ask for help, and I'm going to
Yeah.
go do this thing that I know that I need to do to ensure that this gift is being delivered. And so I think that a lot of times we need to humble ourselves, as entrepreneurs. And even though you're great at your gift and you're great at your skill set and you can move the room, that doesn't mean in all aspects of your life that you have to be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just great at what you're great at. And it's okay that you're not great in this area. You know what I mean? Because maybe it's your responsibility to use your greatness as a space to allow another person's greatness now to be butted up against yours when it comes to management or whatever. And you may be the vessel that is being used to ensure, and when we talk about teams, you may be the person that opens the door for this person who has that, who don't want to be out front. And I used to always tell people, like, I'm a great number two. You know what I mean? I'm a great number two. I'm a great coach, in the sense of in the background, cheerleading you on and wanting you to be successful. I'm good at that. You don't even got to say nothing about me.
Y'all better go on that field. On the field.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that humility plays a big role in that.
Yeah. So okay. So this next one here, I know the answer to this here, but back in the day I used to didn't understand the answer. Well, I didn't understand this for some reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out here right quick, right? So why shouldn't coworkers discuss pay with each other?
I'm about to say that's a tricky topic nowadays because Black people are pushing back because of a lot of systemic issues that have gone on for years.
I agree. But so, what are some pros and cons of them doing that? Right? What could be some pros? What could be some cons of them discussing pay with each other?
So one, they gonna do it. They gonna do it.
They gonna do it.
Look, man, I worked corporate 15 years. They gonna do it. You can tell them. They can sign a document. They can sign a legal document. They're gonna tell them. But my comeback to having to deal with this as a manager was always explaining, because there should be some clear understanding why I'm being compensated a certain. But that's a very technical standpoint. But they're gonna discuss it. Period. It's gonna come up. Period. Like if you think they're not, I don't know what planet you live on.
I got a story to share. And I don't know if it directly correlates with this, but I think it does. I was working at a company, and I was probably like the minority, and it was a position open, and so the white girl came in, and she said, well, if this position is open, and I know you're applying for it, and I'm applying for it. She was like, yeah, and you may get it because of affirmative action, right? And I was like, what? Wait, what did you say? And she was like, yeah, I know you may get the position because of affirmative action, right? And so I kind of was like, okay, let's make this a teaching moment. One, if there's a position open and it's up and it's between me and you, to get that position, know that it's because I was qualified, to be in a position to be up against you for this position. And then two, know that if affirmative action comes in, it's only because corporations like these have not, made sure that that the divides were equal. And three, know that more white women have benefited from affirmative action than any other culture, right? And so I'm using that example because I feel like this also happens with pay, right? Like, why are you getting paid more than me? Just the intention under that, like it can really cause a little bit of strife, in my opinion, between individuals in their work and how they do their work and how work is really being executed within that organization. And it could be a reason why this person is being paid, $2 more, $5 more, $10 more, and so it could cause a rift within those relationships, but more importantly, I think it could cause a rift in how people do their work. You know what I mean? Like if I know that I'm only getting paid $13 and they getting paid $17 and they doing more than me, then I ain't gonna, probably do as much or whatever. And sometimes that's just a negative default that some of us have. But I mean, that's what kind of come up for me. Why shouldn't coworkers discuss their pay?
Yeah.
But can I add something?
Yeah.
Because I read this book by this guy, and it's called Happy Money. And he talked about in China how this is a natural discussion, right? That they talk about money, like how much money you make, how much money you spend, how much you have in your savings. It's a regular conversation over there. Now he did say that they don't talk about sex the way we talk about sex in America. So he did give that to support it. But he was just like, we don't have this issue, with talking about money the way Americans or Western society has it. And I think that that's the other thing. Like, we just really do have an issue of talking about money.
But a lot of it, from my experience, is because a lot of this was pushed because so many unfair practices were being executed. That's just like my story is I didn't realize how much politics, and I know this is small business, but a lot of this is feeding down from big businesses.
Yeah.
I didn't know about all the politics of negotiating your salary. They don't teach you that.
Yeah.
And so I was in a position where I literally got hired at the same point in time. Like me and this guy got hired a week apart, right? When I came in, I thought what I was asking was crazy pay, right? So turn of events, I become his manager. When I become his manager, I find out how much he's making. And he's making like, mind you, I'm a manager. He's making like $5,000 a year less than me. And I'm like, where did it? Because we had been at the company the same amount of time, but it was because he negotiated for a higher salary when he came in. And I was not aware. And so it was like, I ended up firing him. But that's a different story. It wasn't related to that.
My question is, what was the intention under this question?
Wow. I was listening to this thing the other day where on YouTube or something, and they was talking about this particular topic. But what happened was this lady, she had came in probably about a week or so apart from this guy. And she, they told her, look, you're getting paid a little bit more than everybody else getting paid in this position. But she was bilingual, right? And the other guy wasn't, or whatever the case is. And so she made a mistake and blurted it out in the conversation. And it caused a whole lot of problems in the whole office or whatever. But they couldn't understand the reason why. Other employees couldn't understand the reason why she was getting paid more, but she was bilingual. She was doing a little bit more work than they was doing. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like you said, Ms. Danielle. Yeah, they're gonna talk about it. It's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. But I think even in the interview, I said the offer. When the offer letter comes out, I never accept the first offer anyway. Right? It's just a rule of thumb for me. Some people just get it and go with it. You know what I'm saying? So because it's just an offer, right? They're gonna pay you less. They want to pay you less. If you take it, it is what it is. But yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, when I was working full time for a company, man, we all report to the side, hey man, what you getting paid? It's kind of rude to do that, but we do it anyway, right? But now I really don't want that as an employer, right? And so I really reiterate that a couple of different times because you never know, man. This person may be coming from another company, right? When I recruited this guy, right, and he's worth it. You know what I'm saying? Or this woman, or whatever the case is, he's worth it. And yeah, maybe this person been with for a little longer, or whatever the case is. But I had to really go get this person because this person's gonna take my business to the next level, right? Now, with them people being here for a extended period of time or whatever, it can cause a lot of problems. They know exactly how much that person is getting paid. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying, but that can be a major issue. You know what I'm saying?
I see both sides.
Yeah, I can see that too.
In my opinion, it's what Sheila said. They should know why. And it doesn't need to be the number, but it should be very obvious. I don't want his job. He can have that. You know what I'm saying? I can see it. He clearly does he has a specific skill or has a specific skill set that he's bringing value to the company. If it's obvious, it only becomes a problem.
I don't know if you guys ever heard this before, right? I don't know if you guys ever heard this before, right? They say in corporate America you're supposed to take a job, 4 or 5 years maybe, and then go to another job. That job probably gonna pay you a lot more money than you get paid here, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if you already at this job already, you've been there for 6 years. This person come in making a whole lot more money than you. You know what I'm saying? That could cause a whole lot of problems.
But that's the
You know what I'm
game.
saying?
It is.
It is.
So, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm finna say. And I think that in these situations, we're actually punishing. I don't want to say we're actually, but the scrutiny is on the individual that's coming in, or protection around the individual that's coming in that know how to negotiate, know their value, know their added benefits, to negotiating your price, right? Like, hey, if you want me, you coming for me, then you willing to pay this amount for me. And I feel like it's nothing wrong with that individual saying that, but I feel like it is a lot of stigma against that person, because it's like, well, why are you getting paid more than me? As if it's political, or if it's systematized within the system. But I feel like now, to the employees and to our clients out, or to our audience, I think that they need to know you got value, and you can put a price, as an entrepreneur, meaning as a worker within a system, to say, this is my price. If you want me as some companies need Black faces, right? They need you as an African American person in their company. That's one of the values that you bring, especially if they're getting federal dollars, right?
Diversity.
So that adds to,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
your value as a person. If you're actually African American and a woman, right? This adds value to you, right? Because they
Especially in Texas.
Huh?
It's like 20 like 20 extra thousand or something like that the government gives them for getting people
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of money here in Texas.
Yeah. So is
Yeah, it's a lot of
it
money.
your
A lot of
fault
money.
that you don't recognize that you are a commodity and that your value,
Yeah.
because you haven't done what you needed to do, in a sense, to raise the caliber of that paycheck for who you are in the value? And I just told you two values you have that's just associated with your color and your gender. And in some areas,
Yeah.
like nursing, if you are male and you African American, then that's a plus.
But here's another part of it as well. That's why it's important to continue to train your employees too, right? And they continue to learn different skills, and you can see them jockeying maybe up to another position to where they
Yes.
can make that money instead of being stuck at this position for
Yes.
10, 20 years or whatever the
Yes.
case is.
'Cause
You move it up as well.
that's
You know
what
what I'm
I
saying?
that's what I would used to do for people, because you have two types of people that I experienced in my professional career. The people that have an issue when they find out somebody's making something. So I would outline, okay, if you learn these skills that this other person has, I could get you there.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But then I have seen the other side where they complain, you outline, but they don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
They're gonna complain.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna complain. And usually those
And
people have a way of working themselves out
Mhm.
on their own, because at the end of the day, you got the people that do this to start drama
Yeah.
and start contention, and they don't even care about the pay. They want to try to incite something,
Yeah.
so
But
And I
it's
think
dynamics around.
they
and
can
I
cause
think
a fire that can burn for a long time in your company. You don't
But
want that.
only
You know what I'm
only if
saying?
you have terrible practices. Now, if
Yeah.
you out of pocket, you out of pocket.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. That's
So
real.
if you don't have the job laid out, if you don't have the descriptions laid out and the compensation balanced across, like you said, now if you get somebody who's extremely skilled, that's why they have pay ranges. There's a pay
right.
range. You're not, I have to train you. You start at the bottom. This person is coming in with the skills ready to execute. They're going to start closer to the top. And so educating your employees on these things, because that's the problem. So many companies, they don't talk about it. And this is how it comes out, is why he make more money than me. And then you got to go back around and explain all the HR dynamics and all of this stuff.
Well, I do want to add this to that. Now we're talking to entrepreneurs who will soon be CEOs.
Yes.
And sometimes we can put ourselves in positions where we want to pay you more because we built the longer relationship with you, or we understand that you can do this thing. I think Jay just spoke to it, like, oh, you can bring more money in. But and being mindful of the relationships that you are establishing or having, like, with your employees. And I even took a different stance, because my company, I just tell the people that come in and work for Shaping Solutions that you are my colleague and my company is hiring you, right? And as the CEO of the company, right? These are the responsibilities that I'm held responsible for, and making sure as a CEO that you are doing this. So you're not working directly for Sheila, right? You're working for Shaping Solutions, and these are the roles that Shaping Solutions is looking for you to administer, and I'm responsible to make sure you administer that. And so there is more of a collegial, is that the word, collegial type of relationship dynamic? But I had to grow into that because at first I needed that kind of separation of,
church and state.
Yeah, church and state. So I ain't saying y'all go into that now, but I've grown into more of a collegial role with the people that I hire in. But in the beginning, I needed that, and I think it's important to know what kind of relationships you are developing, because you can now be paying out of emotion or dislike, right? And this is why you need that, job description to make sure that you're being equitable.
Going back to square one.
Yeah.
What's the intention of hiring this person?
Yeah. So I got another one here for you guys, right? So whose job is it to keep employees' morale up in the company, and why?
Whose job is it?
In a small business, like as an entrepreneur, I think it's the person, the mission and vision. It's your mission and vision. Yes. And so it's your responsibility to make sure that the individuals, morale is up in the company. And it's because you want your mission to be, and your vision to be lifted and gifted out into the world, and eventually to ultimately, build that momentum to where your employees now buy into the mission and they can, start to exude that energy. But who's responsible? You say leadership starts from the top.
Yes, it does.
Facts. Have you ever? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Danielle.
Well, no, because I think one of the things we didn't start with this topic, but your employees are supposed to make you money. They're not just supposed to be, they're supposed to add value to your company. So if they should be doing value added work. And so if you, to Sheila's point, when you're a small business entrepreneur, it might be you and the VA. You better rah that VA. Every time you add somebody in, they are helping you move forward. So Absolutely. It is your responsibility until you get to the point where you're so big. But even bigger companies, the top people still come down and visit. They still put their face out there. They still try to do the PR thing. So it never stops. So it's always, like she said, it's the leader's job. Whoever's leading that company, they have to set the tone. And if they're not doing it, they need to delegate it appropriately to somebody who can do it successfully.
Yeah, and I think it's important too in seasons. Like, to me, I think about the parent and the child relationship, and not to say that, this is a parent-child relationship when it comes to business, but I think that it's good and it's illustration because if there's a disaster happening in the home, like you're not looking for the child to comfort the parent, right? In that role, right? You're looking for the parent to come in, stabilize. And I think this is sometimes where, as entrepreneurs, we need to learn emotional intelligence as that leadership, because sometimes we can disrupt the moral compass in the business because we're wearing all of our emotions and all of our doubts and all of our insecurities, and we're passing that along to our team. And if you want these people to stay on and lift you and bring value and add money to your team, then you need a coach or somebody to take that too. And again, that's the separation of state, what you call it,
church and state.
Church and state. Like, look, it ain't time for you to, confide in your employees right now because y'all building a culture, and sometimes you're gonna have to, as a parent, would not share all your business with your kids, and then you expect your kids to, respond right. Like, no, as a CEO of a business, especially an entrepreneur business, especially in the first 5 years, 10 years of business, like you need that separation where they see you as the strong leadership role that is going to take us to where we need to go. And they need to have that belief in you, because this is your vision that they brought into. This is your mission that they brought into. And so they need to be able to see you even when you going home. And I don't subscribe this to anybody, but take your business to a coach and take your business, your financial concerns and all of that. Take that to somebody else, because you could be affecting the culture that you're developing in your business, because they in too many roles. You the one who wearing all the hats, not them. They're there for a specific reason, a specific task, especially in those first critical years. You know what I mean?
There's nothing worse, man, to go to a company where the boss is toxic or the manager is toxic.
That's the main reason why people don't leave a job. They leave a bad manager.
Yes. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely your responsibility to make sure everything is right. If it's a person in there who's bringing the morale down, you get them out of there.
Yes.
Right? You bring somebody in that's gonna help raise this thing up, man. You want people to want to come and work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And put in their best effort. You don't want to be beside somebody and you had a meeting and you don't even want to look at her. You know what I'm saying? So
Jay, when you say morale, can you describe what that means?
What do you say morale as?
Yeah, I mean, I would say basically like, okay, when I worked for this one company, right? When we was doing I guess good or whatever the case is, they always did like barbecues and things of that nature, right? Or they try to find a way to catch you doing something good to, man, you know what? You're doing a great job, man. Here's a few extra bucks right over to take care of your family. And so now you come to work, you like, man, you ain't have to do that. Mm-hmm. You ain't have to do that, man. So now I'm looking forward to coming to work, man. See him, man, what's going on, man? Everything good? How was your family? How was your family? And so everybody's upbeat. But I've also been with a company where you go in there, man, on a Monday and people heads down, nobody's talking, and you like, man, what is going on? So people are on the phone making calls and they halfway making calls. They're doing just enough not to get fired, right? You know what I'm saying? You want somebody on that phone doing their thing or whatever the case is. Hey, man, I just got another one. That's what we're talking
about. And a bell get rung. Like,
exactly. Yeah. All these little things like that means a lot. Hey, put yourself in their situation. How would you want your boss to treat you or to act like, and do that? Stop. See, a lot of times in these bosses or whatever cases, they try to find something that you're doing wrong, and they jump on it. And beat you down. Why not do the opposite of that? Hey man, I see you last week. You brought me some coffee on Monday. I'm bringing you some.
I learned a way to do like a good way to give feedback. I can't remember what it was called. I think there was something vulgar involved in it, but basically it's like an Oreo where you say something good, then you insert the bad, and then you finish with something good. There's a way to give feedback that doesn't create that toxicity, because it's like, hey man, you've been doing a really good job. I just wanted to let you know that one thing was a little late, but everything else has been consistently good. Let's just work on it.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
There's a way to do it instead of busting in the door. Where's my paper? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And see, some people get their emotions and they get this run off at the mouth, man, and tear a whole culture down like that.
Right. And I just think from an energy perspective and from a motivation perspective, like Jay, you gave a good example. When there's low morale or there's just low energy or no kind of exchange of energy and no relationship building, like you leave people to basically, so one part of my research was his name was Ediford. Oh, I forgot his name. But he talked about the regression model, right? And the regression model is that if you don't incorporate people, that people will naturally regress. And they would naturally regress to so it's growth, something, and then regression. And my model, the high performance model that I use is based off of this. And the regression part is, if you don't keep people growing in your company or, really motivated and stuff, then they're just going to kind of drop down. So they're just going to drop down to doing the tasks that I need to do, right? And then if you don't give them feedback about the task that they do, then they're going to drop down to just now relating to the people around them. And that is where you see a lot of conversation happening, people in the lunchroom, they're relating to each other, but they're not relating to the business anymore, because now it's about, well, what your kids doing. Now we're talking about, did you see what happened on Facebook? And so there's all this research out there around this regression model. And a big part of keeping the morale in your company is so that the people won't regress to just relatability to a peer or to social media, because you've lost them then, right? Because now you can't even capture them to motivate them. So you always want them to stay, it's the RIT theory. You always want them to stay in growth, right? You always want them to feel inspired, motivated, and enthusiastic about the work that they're doing to accomplish the mission at hand. And those little things like happy birthdays and recognizing how
donuts.
it's doing and
Bring
how it's
donuts.
donuts.
All that is important.
It has to come from a genuine place. I've been in places where when it becomes robotic and it lacks a genuine space, when a genuine space could be added, then that can be detrimental as well. There's no perfect way to do it. You really got to go off of instinct, but especially when it comes from a genuine place, like you said, we're talking a small business owner. These are people that are going to have just a couple. It can truly be genuine, and you can really make them feel like a part of your business family, because that's what you are. When you are in a job, you see these people more than your family. It should be a place that you want to go. Now, we don't have to go skipping down the lane on the weekends. I used to tell everybody, we ain't got to have picnics with these people, but you can be cordial, you can be respectful, and you could have a place of growth and challenging. And we're challenging each other, we're growing, we're learning from each other, and really feeling fulfilled from a work standpoint, because everybody wants that. They may not understand it, but people like to enjoy the work that they're doing, and when they do that, that's what it reflects.
I definitely would say that, Jay, you are very good at this way of making people feel included, right? Like if it's, hey, come post your stuff. And I wouldn't say I'm a quote unquote part of your inner team, but I do feel like a part of your team, right? If it's, tagging me in a post, or so I think that like when we start talking about morale, right? If it's sharing something, if it's liking something, or even seeing you doing it for my other colleagues that are entrepreneurs or small businesses out there, right? So I think you have a natural way of building the morale. If it's a great job, like when we get off the podcast, like, oh, that was dope, that's the hottest one yet, and I think we've heard that after each podcast, right? But it's natural.
I really mean it though, I really mean it.
And that's why it means so much, because it's coming from a genuine place. You can feel that.
My point was, if y'all need tips, go to Jay. Because I feel like there's a natural just thing that, and again, I think that it comes from that place of, or Danielle said, that place of giving, because you definitely have this very inclusive team. I want to build, I want to, grow, and I want you to feel like you're a part of whatever it is that we have going on, and not an outside. So I appreciate that, and that's what keep me coming on for 2 hours. On every Tuesday that I can, right? And I think that's how everybody else feels too, right? Like, just that inclusivity.
I definitely appreciate that, man. But that's just me, man. If you look on my timeline, it's probably majority of those people I just reposted. So I posted it, man. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, man. I be in my own little zone, man. I like to see people doing great things. I do. And that it's like I win. You know what I'm saying? It's like I win. I see you doing something that you enjoy, that you're doing, you having fun. I gotta repost it. Me, so.
But we talking about morale. How do you get people to come on a podcast, commit 2 hours, or whatever show that you got going on, right? That means you're giving some energy, you're giving some space, you're offering something to this individual where they feel like, oh yeah, I'm getting something in exchange for this. And so when talking about morale, it's truly that, like you're making a person feel like they're a part of something in a way that's not always just the direct. It's just the feeling that you can have around this individual. And I think Danielle talked about it earlier. That's the things that we need to work on as entrepreneurs and business owners. You want your employees to feel like they're part of the family, that they're part of whatever the mission or initiative that they have going on. And if you need help doing that, then again, I'm gonna just say you need a coach. You need to go talk to somebody to get some help.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that too, because I actually do it. I guess subconsciously, right? I just do that. You know what I'm saying? So I never really thought about it like that, to be honest with you. So yeah, I appreciate that. I try to do it. Man.
I'm like that too, Jay. Some people are just natural cheerleaders, but not everybody are like. And it comes from a genuine place. Like it's not a fake place. It's like, no, I truly appreciate that. And people say it and they feel it. So, but unfortunately, not everybody has that skill. So at this point, you don't need that skill unless you
absolutely
rock hard whole company.
And you wonder why people leaving, and you wonder why you can't keep nobody, or why people are charged like, oh well, I can go get a job for $2 more. Now let's talk about $2 more. Is $2 more a lot
That's
more?
the next question.
If you really talk about $2 more, you're talking about what, 280? You really talk about like four. It's not a lot.
It's nothing.
You know what I mean?
Really
but a person is leaving your job for $15 to go to a $17 job, and it can't be for just the $2. You know what I mean? It got to be for something different than just $1 or a quarter, or you know what I mean? It's some way that you're making them feel, in that they're actually out there looking for something.
The best example is Walmart.
Yeah.
You can probably get the majority of your needs at Walmart. Do you live at Walmart? No, because of the atmosphere, the experience. I don't know about y'all.
But I'm going to Target.
I'm going to Target. It's the same with pay. That you don't know. Look, y'all just triggered me. You don't know how many people I'm gonna lead. They gonna pay me $1 more. Oh, but what about when you late half the week and I let you slide on those points, or I let you, I tried to work with you. You forget about all of those things that are not compensation based, and then sometimes that extra dollar, the extra $2 ain't what you think it is, but it's exactly what you said. It's about the environment. If you create an environment where people just genuinely
$2 looks hella good to me. You know what I mean? When I already like where I'm at, and you whatever, whatever that more is, and I can get off that whatever time. But if you get a cold committed soldier on your team,
like she let me off early on Fridays, you can have your little extra $1.
But think about it though. So can an employer get away with paying, I guess, the employees a little bit less if it's a great atmosphere?
Right? There's a lot of people that actually take less for atmosphere.
That means a lot.
Atmosphere is a word. So y'all know I make up words. I need a shirt to say I make up words. Atmospheric, right? For atmospheric reason. I don't even know if atmospheric is a reason. I mean, the word. It's definitely people that leave to get a better atmosphere. And I'm not talking about $2. I'm talking about $20,000, $40,000 jobs because it's just too stressful.
You know how many stories I've read of business owner who quit 6-figure jobs. Why do they quit 6-figure jobs? Like, let's ask that question. That was me. Some things ain't worth it. Some things ain't worth it. Now,
and let's talk about a Google or like these new companies that's spending millions and millions of dollars to create atmosphere, right? They're paying more to create the atmosphere than they're paying the employees themselves, because they understand the importance of the atmosphere.
And it links back to employee buy-in. They are buying into the mission of your company, and it increases productivity. At the end of the day, we can say all this lovey-dovey stuff and all this. I'm gonna go back to the nitty-gritty. They there to make money.
Yeah.
They're there to make you money. A happy employee is a productive employee. A productive employee makes more money. So,
Yeah.
So let's
It's
talk
true.
about atmosphere though, because this is a catch-22 for most entrepreneurs. Because in the start of business, if you got the money to, create the atmosphere, if you got a physical space, then that's one question. Or if you don't, but then it's also the atmosphere that your clients may be used to. And maybe as a therapist, this is a thing that I ran into. So Jay, we go back to the fifth floor experience, right? Um, I had clients that was used to, cubicles, and not just regular cubicles, but like the whole, fold out chairs and the metal desk, right? And so when they came up to my office and it's like, the wood desk with the, I'm very an ornate person, so when they would come into that, they felt uncomfortable. Like, oh, where do I sit at? Like, this is like really nice. Like I kind of feel out of place, right? And so we want to also make sure when we talk about aesthetics is a part of your atmosphere, that you're providing. And do your aesthetics meet the needs of your clients, right? And this is why, again, getting a coach or something like that to really talk about your aesthetic appeal and who you're trying to attract. And at the time it was just like, yeah, but I want you to feel, comfortable. That's why I got this, leather couch and not just some folding chairs. But it took a lot of my clients a minute to make that shift because they had been used to DHS offices, kind of that kind of very the glass kind of ceilings, you know what I mean? So then when they came into my office, it was just like, okay, now where's my chair? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it was like, but at the time, I didn't know that then. I was catering to a more higher end client though too, right? I didn't know that intuitively. I knew that intuitively. I just hadn't spoke that out yet, right? That I was kind of, I always felt uncomfortable in DHS, right? Like, wait, why y'all got these chairs and where's the hand sanitizer, right? Like I kind of felt like treat me with put some respect on me, you know what I mean? When I went, because I just feel like it just always had this kind of, and again, I'm not against the system. It was just like I feel like a lot of those places aesthetically have a very cold, kind of
not warming, not a warming, not
at
a
all,
tone. Yeah, that's true.
And so my client at the time would have, I didn't know, like I said, intuitively, but now my client at the time wants to come in and sit and not feel that coldness. They want to feel the warmth. They want to feel the connection. They want to look aesthetically, at their surroundings. So when we started talking about atmosphere, it's not also just the culture, but it's the climate you're creating through your aesthetics, and that could be done on social media too, with the flowers you have in the back of you, or, what kind of scenery you have, right?
You go to a BMW dealership, you won't be able to see a speck on the ground. So Lamborghini, that floor is shiny. That bathroom is spotless. So you already know it's money. You're gonna spend some money going to these places, right? It screams money. So you're absolutely right, man. Everything counts. Everything counts when you're in business. You gotta pay attention to everything. If you want the experience, like if you own this company, right, and you want to experience somebody that's gonna come in for the first time, you gotta enter that bad boy like it's your first time and see what you see. You gotta look at it from the eyes of the person you're selling it to.
Yep.
You're absolutely right, man. So I know it's a lot of things that we getting ready to move here. So there's a lot of things I've been kind of we got lipstick on the pig to make it happen for a minute. So we about to change a lot of stuff here in a minute as well too. But I definitely understand that. That make a lot of sense.
Now, some of us on here, some entrepreneurs on there, I'm trying to get that money, just give me the whatever. And I'm saying, if that's your clientele, that works. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that this is where knowing your client, right, is going to be very, and knowing the type of employees you have too. Like if you a trucker, right? If you a truck, you got truckers, then no, you don't need no fancy nothing because they coming in with the whatever. But you just got it. Each industry is going to be different when we're creating an atmosphere that is conducive to success.
Absolutely. Man, that's dope. That's a dope conversation there, man. I got another one for y'all. You ready?
What's your
All
job?
right. As a business owner, if your company has a rotating door, whose fault is
Yours?
it? Break that down.
When you say we're rotating door, what do you mean?
You
Well,
mean a
employ
high turnover problem? So
facts.
people are coming
Facts.
in and they are leaving.
Yes.
So is that what you mean by
That's
rotating door?
exactly what I meant.
Mhm.
Whose
Because
fault is it?
a lot of that stems from everything we've talked about. If you have not outlined in detail the job, today what they call it, the great resignation. So everybody, they got all these TikTok videos of people who are shooting that they quit on the first day. But pay attention, it's becoming popular, but really look at what they're saying. A lot of it is they weren't they told the employer something and the employer basically lied to them. They show up, this is not the job. I saw one where the lady specifically requested remote work, and then they said, "Oh, you can do remote work after you train on site for 3 months." And she was like, "That's not what I asked for." So she quits. And so it's about that. It only occurs if you're not being, a lot of it comes from if you're not being clear with the intention of hiring this person and aligning on expectations before you even bring them on.
Yeah. Oh, you're not supposed to work on Saturday, and they got you working on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Look, I told you the interview I couldn't work on Saturday, man. I
Yeah.
got my child's a softball game on Saturday or whatever
Calling
the
me on
case
the
is.
weekend. You didn't say you was
Yeah,
gonna be calling me on the
yeah,
weekend.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I
That's
do
true.
think that our culture definitely has given employees a voice, because I can remember a time that was the deal, right? You could get hired and say you hired in for this thing, and you get there and it's a whole nother thing, but because you felt voiceless, that you couldn't speak up and say something or put them on social media. So I can definitely appreciate that we are, as a culture, are owning our voice as employees, our worth and our value. And to answer your question, I do feel like it's the business owner, you know, responsibility to keep that, to close that door. But then it's also industry, it's some industries just have a high turnover,
I
you
agree.
know.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, no. So
Now,
go ahead.
now, just from a mindset standpoint, if you so happen to have a high turnover, you know, and it is the business owner's issue, you need to get a coach
Yes,
or somebody to talk to about why
because you
are
need
these
to
people
understand.
leaving, and
Yes.
not point the finger at this new culture who's having a voice. You need to learn how to now acclimate yourself to be able to work with individuals who have a voice, who have a choice, who feel like they're a commodity, and not buck up against that system, this new system that's coming up. And I
Yes.
feel like we're gonna see a lot of bucking of people too. Like, oh, it was a time where I could, and these people, they just want too much now. And it's like, yeah, you need to talk to somebody about that, because, now you playing a victim to really a value that your children are going to benefit from, and this whole world is going to benefit from. And I think that we're going to see a lot of pushback, and you need to talk to somebody about how can you, go with the flow of adding value. And it may not be, again, we had a conversation with dollars. It may not be even adding, anything to the dollar amount. It
It could
may
be
be the other
accommodations.
questions that Jay talked about, having a better morale, being more present in the company, actually speaking and using a name. And you know what I mean? Just, it could be other things that you could be doing that could stop this from happening that don't have anything to do with pay.
And if you have a good cadence for interacting with these individuals, you should know why. And it's exactly to Sheila's point. If you are completely oblivious to it, you need
It's
some
you.
help because
It's
it's
you.
you.
It's
It's
you.
you. If you can't
Pretty
figure
much.
out what your problem is, go look in the mirror
Yeah.
because
Pretty much.
because in big corporations do exit interviews. That's why you can't, a lot of places you can't just fire somebody because there's a process. Of course somebody can walk out, but in my experience they let you know, you can hear it. I ain't know we was gonna have to work all these weekends. They said weekends, but you know, and it may be a lot of different factors, but you have to know why. Because if you don't know why, how can you correct the problem if you don't know why specifically? And a lot of that ties back into if you're having that problem, you probably don't have the the relationships with your employees to understand, you know, are they happy? Are they not happy? Are they getting what they want? It goes back to what we said. Why are you hiring them? Why are they coming to work for you? What is their intention for coming to work with you? You know, are they seeking freedom? Are they seeking flexibility? Are they seeking growth? You know, all of that ties back into the minute they stop getting that. To Sheila's point, you know, a lot of them are very vocal. I want to do this. I want to become this. I want to do this. And you'll be like, okay. And then you kind of have to, you know, is this person going to add value? How can I support that? You know, the wants and desires. Because a lot of them are, some of the vocalness comes in to the development opportunities, what we talked about earlier, the training. Because a lot of them are coming in now and it's like, I want this and I want to be trained on this and I want to be trained on this and da 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 da. It's because they're more knowledgeable about things, or they may be more knowledgeable about your field. If you're a small business, they may be like, well, I kind of want to learn how to do this too, or you know, something like that. And if you get them up and say, oh yeah, I'll show you, but then in a month you haven't showed them anything.
Mm-hmm. So something just came up in my spirit, and like I don't know, you know, I know we use hashtags when we market things, but I do feel like Jay, you probably should start using the hashtag Silicon Valley. I have a lot of clients in California, and they are startups, you know, and they blow up so fast. Like these individuals are being infused with money. Like I had a client a couple of weeks ago that said he was approached by a company, and I didn't even know this exists, right? Tell me if y'all knew this. So a company had an idea, and what they're doing is they're going out and actually hiring a CEO to basically start the company. So they're going to use $1 million into the company. They go hire that person. I was like, can you give them my number? Because I would love to do that. Yeah. So these companies they're out here and they have all this money to use, and they have an idea. So just say if it's a wellness app that they want to start up or whatever. So they would come hire Sheila and they say, hey, we're going to give you $1 million. We want you to basically spearhead this company. It's yours. You're the CEO. You're going to be the face of the company. And, you know, basically we're going to get this to you and you got to build it, you know, but this $1 million is for you to build the infrastructure, do everything, whatever. If you make this happen in a year, then you can, we give you 5 million, you know, for the next 3 years and things like that. Right. And it's like venture capitalism, you know, venture and all that. But so and I even know my friend, she just started a charcuterie business and her business is blowing up like this. So, you know, a lot of these things that are happening, you know, if you're growing real fast like this, you know what I mean? This is another reason for you to step out, because you may have this revolving door because you don't have it together. Like you're growing so fast that you're not even in a position to, you know, you just wanted to cook cakes or, you know, help people, and now all of a sudden you done blew up, and so you missing so many steps, and so you may have this revolving door where now you're hiring people, you're trusting that they're going to do this thing, and now you're firing them, and now you're caught in this cycle of hiring and firing and hiring and firing. You definitely want to take the pause, right, and step back and you know, and really look at what you need to do as the CEO of that company to change that atmosphere. You know, I will still put hashtag Silicon Valley because a lot of, you know, new startups is happening over there in the tech world, and this is all they do is listen to podcasts and things like that. You know, about business.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we got a guy named Mr. Sherrod. He's actually in the tech. He be on next Tuesday. We out of Dallas as well, so yeah, he's a young cat, man. He's pretty. It's like 3 other people that are supposed to be on the day, and so hopefully it'll be able to. Yeah, so yeah, so yeah, that's absolutely true. I definitely want to get into that, man. So as I was telling you guys, I'm working on this app too already. So I think I told you guys a little bit about the app. No, okay, we'll do it offline. We'll do it
Big
offline.
things in the
Yeah,
making.
yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
But
So
those type of businesses, they blow up fast, and it depends on what your industry is. You can really deal with this. As a therapist, I do feel like if I opened up a practice, which I don't have a practice where I take insurance, but I feel like if I opened up a practice today that accepted insurance, it will blow up like that because it's 200 to 1, right? So it's 200 clients to every one here in, the Great Lakes Bay region. That's a big demand, you know what I mean? And I will get that influx from a slow day of, seeing my people, to influx of calls and referrals and all of that. And I don't have the infrastructure to support that. Like I've opened my doors, but I don't have the infrastructure to support that. That may cause some havoc. And I feel like a lot of us don't have the infrastructure sometimes to even support the gift. You know what I mean? Or the answer to the prayer, right?
Yeah.
You just pray for this thing, and then God just flood in, on you. And now it's like now that blessing has become a headache, and so many of us walk away when it became a headache. When really you just need to talk to somebody and tweak this thing out, and it's okay to slow down, to speed back up again. Let me say that it is okay to slow down so that you can speed back up again.
absolutely.
Back so you can run forward.
Minor setback for a major comeback.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So
it's okay to do that repeatedly in your business. Like you can go to a spurt where you can slow down to speed up, and then you find yourself going so fast you can slow down again to speed up again. Like it's okay.
It's a marathon. It's not a dash. It's a marathon. So that's so true.
Yeah, some people just don't want to do that. Like, no, we're at this speed. It's like, yeah, but if you stay at this speed, it's like a motor. So it's like a race, right? Those cars go around that race, but they can only lap so many times. They got to go in the cockpit. They got to get their tires changed. They got to get all the new oil and everything, right? And go back out there. They're not going around that track 20, 30 times on one win. No, they're stopping at the cockpit, and they have a crew of people that's working on that car and that vehicle, and talking to the guy, and then they get back out there. Now, while they there, somebody may have lapped them a couple of times, but what they know is that they got to slow down so they don't feel pressure. And everybody in this life has to slow down so they can speed back up again multiple times.
But Danielle was talking about that before you came on a little earlier. That's kind of what had to happen to me the last 2 weeks. I had to slow down, man. My body was telling me, hey, pump the brakes. So
and
exactly
deal
what I
with
had to do.
and deal with the conversation, because if you don't deal with I know someone was like, I just feel so guilty when I'm doing this, and that's just your habit mind, because it's used to doing that thing that you used to do. And you got to come in as the authority of those 750 billion cells and say, oh, but no, this is what we choosing today. We gonna sit down. You know what I mean? And if I gotta tell you this, like you tell a kid 30 times, sit down. If I gotta tell you 30 times because you used to be everywhere crazy, and I want people to really get that visual. When you watch kids that ain't been disciplined, you gotta tell them the same thing over and over and over again. Now, if you haven't disciplined yourself as in a balanced life, or that it's okay to sit down, or in healthy practice, you're not disciplined. So when you go to try to do a self-care day, it's like kids on the bus. Every cell in your body or every energy in your body is like, we want to get up. We need to get up. We need to move.
I'm guilty.
Telling
my wife tells me all the time, you need to chill. You need to sit down.
What I told Jay, if you don't sit down, your body gonna sit you down.
Yeah.
It's
My
gonna
wife tell me that. She would tell me that. I felt it the other day. He was like, man, I was tired. So let's get this last question in, guys. So now we talk about to young entrepreneurs. So I think this is very important. I didn't get a chance to write it down though, but it says, why is it important to always keep it professional with your employees? We kind of touched on this a little earlier, but let's kind of dive into that. As entrepreneurs, when you're around people, that's working for you or whatever the case is, it can kind of have a blurred lines there, right? Why is it important? Why is it important to keep it professional?
It's hard.
You know what just came up
in the words. It's hard for me to put that in the words because it should
Let me
be.
Just come up in my spirit.
Go for it, Sheila.
So I know that I'm gonna probably get a lot of backlash about this, but I'm just gonna say Kanye West, right? Like, you
Period.
know, he is a successful man in his own right. He's built his own company, right?
All these things.
Now, if his agenda is to get out of his Adidas contract, he, you know, because he had been talking about getting out of Adidas, and, you know, and so,
Mission
yeah.
accomplished.
But a lot of the stuff that
Yeah.
he's done, whether it's his mental health or not, and I've had this conversation, you know, mental health and bad behavior is not in the same sentence at all, right? So we can't say, you know, he does have mental health problems, but when you look at his behavior, just his behavior and how he talks, if he didn't have those mental health things, right? So we're going to just kind of take that out for now. His professionalism and his decorum has cost him, right, a lot of things. And that's just at a very grand state. Now, he still has his own style. He still has his own uniqueness. He still has his own voice. And so professionalism is not always how we dress, right, and how we talk, because you can still be professional in your aesthetics. Like, I wear Chucks. I mean, I still stay professional in my Chucks. So I don't think professional is a look.
Eric
I think
Thomases and
professional.
the JVs of the world, you know, that's
Yeah,
their
yeah.
professional. Everybody's professional is different, but it's
Yeah, everybody professional is different, but you understand professionalism by how offensive a person is, right? Or it could be. And so when you said that, when you asked that question, you know, that's the name that kind of came up for me. Like, you know, I think it's his lack of professionalism, meaning holding his tongue, not being, you know, kind of saying things that he probably could say in a room full of people behind closed doors, just shouldn't say out loud. And mind you, it's a lot of professionals that may be having those same conversations that Kanye is having. They're just not having them on the mic and being recorded, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? You took it a little different. I was talking about being professional with your employees, but that's also a good point that you're saying. That's a good point that you're saying too. You got go ahead.
It's the same concept, because
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a good point what you said too.
Because if you let too much of yourself out, it could backfire.
Yeah,
it could backfire.
Yeah.
If you get too comfortable with people, then they can use it against you.
That's true. That's
They
true.
can, you know, guilt trip you into, you know, it's so intricate. That's why I was like, it's hard to put one thing, because it's so layered. And that's one of the things when I work with.
Did we lose it?
Okay, did we lose it? Yes, I think so. So I think we're talking about culture and climate then, right? Like professional.
Yeah, like you know, like we let's say we had a small. Go ahead, Miss Danielle. You had broke up a little bit.
Well, yeah, no. So when I work with people, that's the first thing I say is, well, one of the many things is have an inner circle, just like she was saying. Because I heard the interview T.I. did with Kanye a couple years ago, where he was like, "You ain't got the right people around you to check you," you know.
Yeah,
and
which is real.
But for me, that's not the responsibility of your employees. Everybody needs that person, that moral checking person. And I tell people, like, you know, because everybody has a range of thoughts and everything, but it does not apply to your business. If you have a brand and you have a mission and you have a statement, your focus should be on the brand, the mission, the vision of your company. Everything should be about that. You shouldn't come in trauma dumping on people when you had a bad weekend. You know, you could just say, "Man, I had a bad weekend, but let's go ahead and kill it this week." Instead of going in and then laying out all the details of your bad weekend. And not only are you killing productivity, you may be losing their respect.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, and then it's like, I don't think I want every Monday she come in and she talking. So, there's so many layers to that, but that's not the point of the business. That's what your family, that's what your friends are for. You gotta,
And I agree. I like how you said mission and vision, because I think that what this is, again, staying professional with your employees, still should stay in the midst of your I want to say your mission and your vision. And this is an example that come up in my spirit. If you're a company that supports kids and and out there trying to do stuff for kids and giving away kids stuff, then a part of your culture, it wouldn't be unprofessional if you're supporting kids to have a like no kid policy, or you definitely want to now involve that person's family as a part of, now that they might can't bring their kids to work, but there may be like some type of interaction, like a family day where the kids can come in and play with the toys, right? Because this is a part of the culture. Our mission and vision is about kids, so I need my team to feel like that their family could be a part of this, and that wouldn't be unprofessional. But it would be very unprofessional for me to let your kids come in and we dealing with chemicals, you know what I mean? And now you bring your baby in. So I think that when we start talking about keeping it professional, it definitely is very important for you to know what your mission and your vision and your values are for your company, and make sure that the professionalism is around that, right? So we can't be talking about out here having friends. And I see a lot of even empowering women groups, right? That's promoting the women in power and all of that, but then the dynamics of the women relationships within the organization doesn't match that. It's catty and what I mean, backstabbage and cutthroat, right? Like this don't even support our mission and what we're doing out in the company, and that's very unprofessional of that company or those individuals to have that type of behavior, and it's conflict directly with their mission and vision. I mean, I think that's what my answer. I know that's what my answer is.
Yeah. All right.
Because professionalism, I still say we have to get out of, as a culture, I'm gonna use the word, what is that called? Assimilation, right? That we've assimilated ourselves because we work in corporate, and so we've been given what professionalism looks like. You know what I mean? And the suit and tie and all of that, and it's more of that type of, that's what professionalism looks like. And you do have permission to say what is professionalism for you. And it has to be within the etiquette or the morals or values of your company, right? And that may not look like corporate professionalism, and some corporations don't even have that now, right?
I was just about to say that some corporations you think they're supposed to look like that, and then you walk in like,
okay, I got this suit on, but everybody is like, seem like they dress down, but that's now they move their culture and climate to that. But I agree with the relationships and what we talk about, and what kind of conversations happen within within the corporation is very important. It can't be deemed professional or not professional.
Facts.
Like, and I would go right back to what Sheila said. Consult with somebody for HR, because if you don't know about HR, there's things that you shouldn't be asking your employees, from a legal standpoint. It's things they don't have to tell you from a legal standpoint. And a lot of those times when I was in, corporate environment, you would have to stop people from oversharing. Like when they start going on the train, and it's like, hold on, who? You didn't tell me all that. You draw that line right there, because it's professional, and you're gonna put my job at risk. And I'm gonna have to go with HR right after this conversation. I would rather not. So yeah, if you're not aware of it, please research it. If you don't quite understand or grasp the severity of this topic, you got to get this out now, because, like, to Sheila's point, you start growing and you develop this oversharing, too much buddy situation. It's not going to help you when you're really big, or you're not going to be able to keep up with it, because that takes a lot of energy too.
Yeah. And I guess it will come up to my spirit, and I'm gonna end with this, and know that everybody, especially in our first beginning years of relationships or whatever, intentions. And I would hate to say this, I do. I don't hate as a cruel word, but everybody don't have your intentions, your greatest intention at mind. They have their own, right? Because developing a win-win situation is actually an essential process that people mature into, which means that if you got an employee that's surviving, right, because you're paying them a check, and you got the morals and everything is good, but they may have an aunt that work in HR, and you may be doing something that for you, it's just natural conversation or whatever, right? And you think y'all got a friendship and understanding, and now this person auntie like, oh no, you can, you know, you can. That's not right. That's not supposed to. And now this person like, and listen, let me help you. They should have insurance, so it's not like you're suing the company. You're actually suing themselves, so they gonna be okay or whatever that conversation is. This person is thinking about their survival. It's not even personal to you. You know what I mean? Sometimes even I had to learn, even because I have my own building now, putting the sod out and cut, and making sure that the grass is cut and making sure that, the ice ain't on the thing. Because if these people slip, it ain't personal to me. Because they got a whole family right here. Like, so you just gonna be on crutches, so making sure that I'm taking care of this building. Right. The safety things that I am responsible for as the professional in the building, right? And so some of these things that we're telling you is really to make sure that all your ducks is in a row. And sometimes I think we cannot put our ducks in a row because we think that people are your friend, and they are your friend until they have a need, right?
Okay.
They're not thinking about friendship.
You're preaching right now.
I've seen that. It's all funny names till somebody get hurt or somebody feels like they've been shortchanged.
Or
they will turn into a freelance lawyer in a minute.
Yeah, and this is human nature. I'm not even talking about, and this goes beyond.
It's protection of self. That's our driving factor.
Yeah, this goes beyond the whole no new friends thing and all of that. This goes beyond that. We're just talking about to whom much is given, much is required. Do your due diligence and make sure that you're taking care of your responsibilities as you become aware of them, because you probably always gonna have some blind spots or whatever that's gonna, be a part of your growth and development. But we can't always lean to somebody's compassion or somebody's understanding of our role as a professional that we chose to step into. So you should understand why I didn't say that, or you should understand what I meant when I said that, or you should understand, why I'm in this predicament, or why I said it like that, or why I got it right with you, or why I was not professional. No, that is not for your employee to understand. You know what I mean? That is for you to get the right people again around you to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, and as you become aware of things that you're addressing them. And I'm a business owner, and it's 100 things on my list, and I'm already at 82. I don't have all 100, right? I'm not speaking from this
and I'm at 65.
You know what I mean? I'm not speaking from this place of I got everything to check, right? No, but I know that it's my due diligence to know that it's 100 things that need done, right? And to know where I'm at on this checklist. And some of us don't even know how many things need to get done, right? To even gauge or do your own measure of where you at in establishing, the security that your business needs to be sustainable.
Listen, guys, that's a drop the mic moment, man. That's information. If you guys don't get that, you need to record that. You need to play this back again. You know what I'm saying? Play it, run it back, man. You know what I'm saying? It is so true. So you may not be, at that position right now. When you get there, you want to be prepared as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? So,
and stop trying to ask people to be understanding of you as an entrepreneur. Why you didn't answer the phone? Why you didn't? And again, I probably was in this space before. Why you don't have enough paper towels in the bathroom? Why you got the soap dispensers that you need? Why you stop playing the victim, and you're in a leadership role. You're not the victim anymore, right?
And buck stops with you.
Yeah. This is where it's you. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs that play the victim, either with their employees, well, they should know, they understand how business is, or the customer should understand. It is not their responsibility to understand your roles and dynamics as a person that chose to open a business or was given a business. Whoever you said yes, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. And I always say, who knows? It's actually a higher no over there. But when somebody say no, right, then your next step is the KNOW, right? Then know what it is you need to fix, know the direction you're going to, and know the solution to that problem, right? this is what no really results in, right?
Yeah,
Like
it should. Yeah.
when you hear no from people, no, I can't help you, no, I don't understand, no this and no that, it's not a rejection. It's actually an opportunity for you to know, okay, now I need to know the direction I'm going in, get some clarity, know the strategy that I'm gonna use, right? Like it's KNO is not a form of rejection. It's actually an opportunity for you to KNOW to start to know now what you need to do. And as an employee, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I think we fear the word no, but it's actually an opportunity for us to grow. Like I said, I've been told no a whole lot of times from clients and a whole,
Yeah.
but again, you got a responsibility there. 100 steps. I'm probably like at 80. It's still a whole lot of stuff I need to do, right? But I know that this, and I'm sure when those 100 steps get checked, a whole nother 100 is going to unfold.
I was just about to say that. As soon as
Yeah.
you clear the list, the next day it's like, like,
Yeah. All right.
So
So
I
the
say
bonus
no,
question for you guys.
no, your employees are not responsible for you. You are so no, your employees are not responsible for you, which leads to KNOW. Know that you are responsible for your employees.
girl, you better preach.
Yeah.
All right. So
Bonus question.
here's the last question, right? So what's something that should be hanging up on your wall in your business or at your business, right? And why?
That's personal.
So,
You talk about like from a legal standpoint?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
went
yeah,
A
aesthetic
license.
yeah.
immediately.
A
A
business
license.
license.
I
Yeah,
was
a
about
business
to say,
license.
Yeah.
Our credentials.
all applicable business license to your services provided.
A mission statement. We talked about that. Can be hanging up in that, but so it's important, man, to know these type
But
of things, man.
energetically, you should have a globe in your business or anywhere in your office. You should have some type of ship or something like that. But definitely a globe should be in any office that you're in. It's
Oh,
just
what's the
good
globe
process.
Worldview of things,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So listen, this was phenomenal, man. You guys, as always, knocked it out of the park, man. So I don't know, there's nothing I can add. You know what I'm saying? You guys said it all. But I try to make sure everything kind of lined up a little bit, man. But
It is.
hopefully somebody will learn from some of this information here, man. You know, so you just starting out, you're entrepreneurs. Here's some steps. You get ready to hire somebody. Here's some things you need to know.
Yeah, things to
You
be
need to know.
take into consideration and do your research.
Do your
Get
research.
some help.
Get you some help. Contact Miss Danielle. Help you to get over some of them humps, man. You know what I'm saying? She can walk you through some things. So
Mhm.
it's important,
Train
man.
your people for you.
Absolutely.
One of my many
Absolutely.
skills.
All right. So what we didn't do is I didn't say tell them what's your name, where you logging in from, and
They
what you
know
do.
by now.
Yeah, you might be right. If
If
you
they
still
don't
try it though, how to get in contact with you?
Well, I'm Sheila at I Am Shaping Solutions. And again, I help you develop the right mindset so you can create the right skill sets and ultimately take the right actions to transfer your personal and professional life. I mean, that's as simple as I could say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm Danielle MacArthur, DCDR Solutions. Working with these new budding entrepreneurs to help vet out all of these types of questions and understandings. And, I provide them with the solutions to their problems. And if I can't solve it, I find them a resource. But the problem got to be solved. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just recently posted like a list of people, kind of like an inner circle of people.
Yeah, you
Did you guys see that?
Yeah,
With everybody's phone number, or email address, and all that stuff, man. This is people. I don't know if somebody called you guys yet, but I'm gonna continue to do that, man.
Look, Facebook like the newspaper. It take a couple days for somebody to read it and respond. So you just planting the seeds, man. You planting the seeds. It's great.
But everybody that comes onto the Patreon group that we have, that's part of it. They get that whole list. So if they need something that you guys do, here, this is who we recommend. This is who we recommend for this. You know what I'm saying? So you guys are in front of people, man. So my thing is just go kill it, man. Go kill it, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
I'm
it.
proud of y'all, man, and I appreciate you guys too, man. I want to say that I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you too.
We appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. So stay on for a second before we get off. Totally off, man. So listen, another one in the books, y'all. Like, share, subscribe. If you like it, hit the like button. If you don't, hit the don't like button. Just do something.
If you don't like it, share it.
Yeah.
Some type of
Just do
interaction.
something. So, and we
You
try
don't
to tell
like it,
everybody.
put a comment about why you didn't like
Right,
it.
exactly. Do something, man. Just do something, you know. And
Y'all
we see
sound
you guys.
crazy.
Tune in to tomorrow, man, the Real Estate Aholics podcast. And tell about you guys' podcast as well.
Yeah, so we switched ours to Elevating Life on Wednesdays. And then, you know, the What Would My Daddy Say show, that's my personal one on Thursdays. So
That is dope. I started listening to it. I didn't get a chance to finish listening to it yet though. But that's dope. That's dope right there. I definitely gonna listen to the next one. Yeah. Because I got a chance, I did it with my father, right? Before he passed. And so
Oh,
and I
did
got a chance to
you?
listen. Yeah. Because remember we interviewed you and your business partner
Oh,
years ago. Yeah, we did it
yeah, a
years
long
ago.
time ago.
Yeah. So I still got his audio and everything, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and so I'm gonna definitely listen to that. So, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely listen.
I love the what my daddy say show. You know, elevated life will teach you how to elevate in your love of self, interactions with others, focus and energy. That's what life stands for. The What Would My Daddy Say show is more of me as a person. Elevated life is like me as a therapist, you know, like kind of giving, teaching these frameworks to individuals. I think the What Would My Daddy Say show is just me as a human being, figuring life out as in dating and relationships and like the emotional side of things, which you know, the back door to that is I may know the answer, but a lot of this is still I need my daddy. You know what I mean? To
Yes,
either provide me some insurance or whatever. I mean, I got a therapist and I got a coach, but I still need my daddy. So tune into that after, you know, What Would My Daddy Say at What Would My Daddy Say on Facebook.com.
Dope. All right. Peace, man. Go kill the rest of the week. All right, y'all stay on for a second.